it seems like everyone is talking about the Boston Celtics lately, and if that's what we're doing, let me get my piece off. Let me get my piece off. There's been so many discussions around Jason Tatum, his MVP race, who's he's actually better than. But now we're shifting the focus to the team as a whole, because as the season does come to a close, right now, as of the recording of this video, we are 57 games in. Yeah, 57 games in, so that means there is about 25 games left into the season. We know we have a relatively good grasp of who the favorites are, who's elite, who's not elite, who's going to be fighting to get into the playoffs, who's not. And the Boston Celtics are standing out. The Boston Celtics are standing out. As of the recording of this video, they are 45-12. They are on pace to win 65, 66 games. And I believe they have the easiest, not the easiest, but one of the easiest schedules remaining in the season. So while while they're already on pace to win 65, 66, if that schedules, whoo, maybe 67, maybe 68. I don't know. This is just a dominant team, and it's becoming very, very alarming, the gap between the Celtics and all the other teams. If we look at the standings real quick, let's go to NBA.com to see the game difference. Pretty sure you can put on Basketball Reference, but I just know NBA.com does it immediately. The Boston Celtics are 7.5 games above the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? 7.5 games above the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, mind you, if we go out west, that is a larger gap between the 1 seed and the 8 seed. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, like there's been discussions about Tatum's MVP case. How much do the Celtics have to win for him to truly get that award? Because a lot of people have understood that he doesn't have the stats of a Jokic. He doesn't have the stats of, a Luka, a Giannis, or even a Shea. But historically speaking, there have been some MVP awards where the winning just overtakes everything. And I mean everything. When the gap between you and the rest of the NBA is so big, that winning gap, especially because of your impact on winning, on said winning is really big. That's enough for you to get an MVP case. So I asked this on the podcast last night, and we'll talk about the team too. I asked this on the podcast last night, and I was like, what are some of those cases where some of those cases. So one person brought up 2015 when Steph Curry won his first MVP. And Steph Curry that year put up 24, 8, and 4 on 48, 44, 91 splits. I don't know, because someone made the argument these are mid stats. Okay, cool, that's fine. I think the one MVP that I would actually point towards, and not to say that this wasn't an exceptional season, was Dirk Nowitzki's MVP in 2007. Right? I understand he had 50, 40, 90, 24.6 points and 9 rebounds. But I feel like specifically this season, there were a couple players who might have been more dominant statistically. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, they might have had better stats, or the narrative was they had a better narrative because they were leading their team to a crazy amount of wins with less help. But in the 2007 NBA season, if I remember correctly, the winning gap between the Mavs and everyone else is kind of similar to the Celtics right now. If we look up here, okay, the Mavs did win 61 games. So this is about a 6-game difference, 6 games back from the 2nd seed, and then over on the East. I mean, the number 1 seed in the East had 53 wins. So that's a lot of games back compared to the Dallas Mavericks. But yet, because of how much that team won, Dirk Nowitzki got the MVP. So a lot of people are asking, like, yo, can Jason Tatum get that type of MVP? Where this team is winning so many games, like creeping up on the 70-win game mark. He's still putting up really good numbers, not crazy numbers, not 33, 14, and 9, not 39 and 9, but 27, 9, and 5 is still solid and on good efficiency. Why can't he get the MVP? So these are the discussions that we're having with the Boston Celtics, and as a team, I think a majority of NBA fans are coming to the conclusion that the Boston Celtics are the favorite to, at the very least, come out the East. And at worst, they are the second favorites to win the championship outside of the Denver Nuggets, who are looking to repeat. But some would even say, and a lot of people would actually even say, that the Boston Celtics matched up against the Denver Nuggets would be favored against the Denver Nuggets. I'm happy. I'm happy this is the case. You know what I'm saying? The city is excited for the Boston Celtics, which is great because for anyone who lives in New England, lives in Massachusetts, it's actually sad how lack of respect the Celtics get within the Boston community. Because out here, the New England Patriots and the Boston Bruins get much more love compared to the Boston Celtics. And a part of that probably has to do with winning. And a part of that, I'm going to be honest, has to do with culture. We know about Boston. But yeah, this team is, now mind you, I have been fortunate enough to see a lot of great Celtics teams. And the past 2 seasons, we have had great Celtics teams. 2022, we made the finals. 2023, I believe we won 57 games. Was 1 win away from the NBA finals. I've been fortunate enough to see great teams. 2018 was a great team. 2020 was an underrated team in my opinion. 2017, I personally feel like is my favorite Boston Celtics team. The Isaiah Thomas, Al Horford, young Jaylen Brown, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley. That team, that is still probably my favorite team to ever watch. But in terms of talent, this team is the most talented team we've ever had. That I've seen. And I would love to see the conversations if this team actually wins a championship between this team and the 08 Celtics. I would love to see that conversation. But regardless, let's not go that far. As far as what I've seen in my lifetime, this team is the most talented squad I've ever seen. This starting 5 is the most well-balanced starting 5 I've ever seen. And then the bench has honestly surprised me. You know, in the beginning of the season, I was very concerned about the bench of this team. Like our core 6 is strong as shit. Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford. Like those 6, I don't think there's a better starting 6, top 6 than that. But the drop off between that to Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornett in the beginning of the season was very, very scary for me. But post-trade deadline, I understand he hasn't really played that many games. The fact that we picked up an Xavier Tillman. And even a guy like Sam Hauser. I've really been impressed with Sam Hauser. You know what I'm saying? Sam Hauser is shooting 42% from 3. He is our sharpshooter off the bench. And I love the minutes that he brings to the table. Obviously, he can be better defensively, but he's great playing off ball. He's not a creator, but sometimes you just need a shooter off the bench, and Sam Hauser is just that. And even Peyton Pritchard. I've been very low on Peyton Pritchard throughout the NBA season, and that is primarily because of how he started the NBA season. If we look at how he started the NBA season, Peyton Pritchard was legitimately pissing me off. He was pissing me off, right? We're looking at a short point guard coming off the bench. He's not a great defender. He's not a great passer. And from a scoring perspective, he was giving you 6 points a game on 38, 31, 77 splits, not getting to the line once a game. But with how he's played for the rest of the season, for that, oh my God, he dropped 28 against them boys. for him to up his averages up to 44, 38, and 81 off the bench, that tells me that, okay, we're asking you to be a decent scoring punch off the bench, and you are providing that. At the very least, a shooter off the bench, and for you to shoot 5 threes a game on 38%, you're doing your job. You know what I'm saying? And then that big man position, Luke Cornett has... I ain't gonna lie, bro, from a chemistry perspective, if you heard all the interviews about the Boston Celtics, like, Luke Cornett is a very integral part to this team from a chemistry perspective alone. But if you just need a big body who's gonna, be effective at the rim and block shots, Luke Cornett is doing that job for this team. So, because of how talented that top six is, if you watch the Celtics, they stagger lineups a lot. So, even when Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, and Peyton Pritchard all come in at once, which is like their go-to bench rotation off the gate in like the second quarter, like they're still gonna have, Derek White or Drew Holiday out there. They're still gonna have Jason Tatum and Derek White out there, or some combination like that, right? Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, some combination like that, to the point where, at any given point, you still have a guy on the court who's capable of giving you 20 points a game, and a guy who can put the ball on the floor and create for others. You know what I'm saying? Because in literally all those combinations I just gave you, one of either Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, or Derek White are on the court, and in my opinion, they can facilitate an offense relatively fine for those minutes. And either Al Horford or Kristaps Porzingis are on the floor, and you're still gonna have rim protection, and switchability on defense on top of shooting from these two, and more rim protection from Luke Cornett. So just a lot of lineup versatility when it comes to that starting five, top six. That is really, really valuable for this team. And I said this on TikTok, and I'll say it again for the YouTubes. In hindsight, it pains me to say this because I love this dude. It pains me to say this because Boston Celtics fans love this dude. You know what I'm saying? And my heart literally dropped when I got the Woj bomb that he got traded. But in hindsight, trading Marcus Smart was one of the best things to happen to this team. Trading Marcus Smart was one of the best things to happen to this team. And I understand initially, Malcolm Brogdon was supposed to be the dude that was going to get traded. And then inevitably ended up being Marcus Smart, and Malcolm Brogdon still inevitably got traded. But I'm looking at this team, and at the end of the day, we don't get Kristaps Porzingis without trading Marcus Smart. And how Kristaps Porzingis specifically has transformed this team, and has taken this team to the next level that, in my opinion, it needed to be, is insane. This team is completely different in the games where Kristaps Porzingis is not on the floor. And we have a relatively decent sample size of that because he's missed, out of the top six, he has missed the most games. When Kristaps Porzingis is not there, rim protection gets scary. The lack of Kristaps Porzingis is averaging 2 blocks a game. When he's not there, we're relying on 37-year-old Al Horford and Luke Cornett to be the rim protectors of this team, and they're just not Kristaps Porzingis on that end. But more so on the offensive end, when Kristaps Porzingis is not there, this looks like the same team from the last 2 years, where because they have a lot of great perimeter threats, they can get away with this more than other teams, but the offense becomes really, really stagnant and really, really one-dimensional. And what I mean by that is a lot of isolation play, a lot of just drive and kick, and because they have great perimeter threats, they can spam that essentially. But when the game slows down, when that shit isn't working, when the three ball isn't falling, the fact that they can dump the ball down to Kristaps Porzingis, and he is a living mismatch nightmare for 85% of the league. You can give it to him in the post, you can give it to him in the mid range, and you have that option. It makes a big difference. I'm telling you right now, it makes a big difference. He's also the best pick and roll partner we've had in the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, hell, even Kyrie era. Al Horford was decent in the pick and pop, but the fact that Kristaps Porzingis can also do that at a high level and roll to the rim, be a rim runner, much more effective than Al Horford has ever been, in my opinion. Like, that dynamic is something that we've been missing, and Kristaps Porzingis provides that. That isn't there without trading Marcus Smart. Also, the ascension of a Derek White. And, the ascension of a Derek White. There's been a lot of fuss about Derek White's improvement this season. Should he be an all-star? Should he be this, that, and the third? But I think it's important to understand that a lot of that stems from the fact that Derek White has had the ball in his hands a lot this season. More than he's had last season and the year prior when he just got traded to the team. Because of the fact that the logjam at the point guard position is not there anymore. You know what I'm saying? For those who don't remember last season, we had a logjam at the point guard position because we had heart and soul Marcus Smart, sixth man of the year Malcolm Brogdon, and all defensive guard Derek White. You know? And this season they had to make a decision. Who is going to be the guy that stays? And inevitably, only one of them ended up staying. But essentially, the reason why Derek White has been so effective this season is because he's had the ball in his hands more than previous years. And I don't think that's possible if that logjam at the point guard position was not settled. Is that necessarily inherent to Marcus Smart being traded? No, but that's still a positive regard. That's something positive that happened from that trade. And also, I think this is arguably the biggest point that I think a lot of people aren't really talking about. With Marcus Smart being traded, with Al Horford really establishing that, I am an old-ass motherfucker on this team. I cannot be a focal point of this team anymore. The most I can be is a bench player. For the last 3 years, hell, even 4, I think Celtics fans have appreciated Marcus Smart being the heart and soul of this team, being a leader of this team. But with the two Jays growing up and trying to become, the focal points of this team, with Jaylen Brown being the most paid player in history, with Jason Tatum trying to become this top 5 player, MVP candidate player, while simultaneously trying to win a championship, it gets to a point where, you're supposed to be a championship contender. You're supposed to be a team that wins a championship. Yet the heart and soul of your team, yet the leader of your team isn't the All-NBA players? Isn't the superstar? I mean, looking back, the only time that hasn't really happened, and I would still make the case, Steph Curry was still the leader of that team, was the Golden State Warriors. Pre-KD, right? Where motherfuckers were talking about Draymond Green's the real leader of this team. Which even that, I still feel like that was flawed, right? But even with that front, I don't think if they never got KD, and for the next 3 years Draymond Green was still viewed as the leader of that team, I don't. That's a bad look for the Warriors. But name me a championship team in history where the best player, the best player, if not the second best player on that team, aren't considered the leader of that team. That's a bad look. So from a growing, and I think with this team this season, I look at Jason Tatum as the leader of this team for the first time. Like, for real. He is the leader of this team. I look at Jaylen Brown, and he is a vet on this team now. You know what I'm saying? While there is still veteran presence there with Drew Holiday and Al Horford, and a lot of championship teams have had veteran presence on their team. This is the first time where I felt like Jason Tatum is the leader of this team. And he's doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion. He's doing a phenomenal job. This is a team that has the best offense in the league. This is a team that has the third best defensive rating in the league. And when it comes to the team as a whole, bro, there's not too many excuses anymore, man. I ain't gonna lie. I would say last season there already wasn't an excuse for us to miss the finals, because if you look back at the playoff matchups that we had, it was literally like the best case scenario, dog. Let's look back at the 2023 NBA playoffs, and this is why, like, I can't act like people, like, the frustration for the Celtics is coming out of nowhere, because in 2022 we made the finals, or the Celtics made the finals, and they were actually favored, and they didn't get the job done. Like, holy shit, bro. God damn, bro. You're actually favored in the series and you don't get the job done. Like, what are we doing? And then in 2023, if we remember the playoff picture, first round, I was trying to avoid Miami, right? Like, I was like, out of all the playing teams, if we can get the Atlanta Hawks and that trash-ass defense, that would be the best case scenario. Next to maybe the Nets, right? And we got the Hawks. And even that, like, that's still 1-6. Second round, we get the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay. There was probably an easier matchup there. But then Joel Embiid is not at 100%. Joel Embiid is not 100% in the series. So we're going up against the Philadelphia 76ers with the reigning MVP not being at 100%. That is something in the Celtics' favor. And that still had to go to 7. But regardless, we go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and we don't have to face the Bucks because the Heat got rid of them in the first round. We don't have to face the New York Knicks because the Heat got rid of them. And who do we have to face? It is the play-in team, 8-seeded Miami Heat. And like the road was laid out to be as easy as possible for this team to make it to the finals. And unfortunately, Jason Tatum did get injured in Game 7. But it's like, bro, this is a series that should not have gone to 7 games. You know what I'm saying? And what we saw at the end of the series was, yeah, the Celtics were the better team. They were just bullshitting in the first 3 games and had to dig themselves out of a undiggable hole. Or, you know, it was almost diggable. But, like, goddamn. So I'm looking at this team this season, and again, we're headed towards the same direction of, yo, this is the second year of you guys not having any excuses. You have the best record in the league. Statistically, you have a top 3 offense and defense. Your best player is trying to say he's the MVP. Your best player is trying to say he's the best player in the league. Right? Everyone is saying you have the best starting 5 in the league, right? Your coach is not a first-year coach anymore. This is his second year on the job. The gap between you and the second seed is 7.5 games. Everyone thought going into this season that the East was going to be a 2-man race between the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Milwaukee Bucks are looking dysfunctional because of coaching, because of Dame's inconsistencies, personnel problems, this, that, and the third. And then over in the West, I mean, the teams that got y'all number, the Golden State Warriors, they may not even be in the first round, right? The top 2 seeds are young teams that are relatively unproven. And the Denver Nuggets, while, you know, the Denver Nuggets are still championship contenders, I feel like a lot of people would say that last year's Denver Nuggets were better than this year's Denver Nuggets, right? Jokic was better last year than this season. So it's like, yo, what more excuses? Or not really what more excuses, but it's like, yo, this is your best shot to win a championship. This is your best shot to win a championship. Get it done. Get it done. I'm at that point too. Don't get it twisted. I'm at that point with this team. Get it done. Job not finished. Let's stay on that. Job not finished. Let's lock in. Because there's literally no excuse for this team not to, at the very least, make the finals. Barring injuries. Crazy injuries happen at the end of the season. Knock on wood. You know what I'm saying? In the playoffs, if anything crazy, knock on wood, you know, maybe we have to revisit this conversation. But goddamn, bro. If this team doesn't win a championship this season, I'm going to be upset. For real. I'm going to be upset. And I understand next year they'll probably come back and be one of the best teams in the league again. But it's like, oh my God, bro. What else do y'all need? You know what I'm saying? What else do y'all need? Let's get the job done, bro. Fuck.